Hello and welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel, and welcome to today's video update about Bitcoin and a few altcoins. We're going to be focusing on a handful of altcoins later on in the video, but let's talk about Bitcoin. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Let's talk about Bitcoin and its weekly predicament. For the past few days, the weekly candle seems to just not have moved. It's not been really moving. It's kind of stagnant, but what I want to just present to you guys is that this has been a 6-week range, and recently in last week's weekly close we got a weekly close above what is essentially the range high, and now we're having this range high being pulled back into just to test it as a new support so that it can springboard to higher levels. This is one of the scenarios that I'm watching for going forward, because as you guys know from a previous video, 9,650, not only is that the level of this 6-week range high, it's also that very key reference point for directional bias that I spoke to you guys about in another video. So it's really interesting to see this sort of confluence in 9,650 being a very key level, and if we can actually retest this level this week, we could see some overextension towards the supply zone that we've been talking about for the past few days. And this would of course tie in with my bullish case for Bitcoin, that we have to have a weekly close, which we actually got above 9,650, for that overextension towards 10,300 to occur, and then later a pullback into 9,650 a week or two later, and so on and so on. So for the time being, I am watching for this retest attempt to really just generate some buy volume, some buy interest to allow for Bitcoin to move up towards the upside. But in this weekly candle, we're just seeing consolidation, guys. We're just seeing sideways movement in Bitcoin's price action, which is why we have to also be a bit cautious about altcoins. I am going to talk about a few altcoins that are quite interesting in the moment, but we have to speak about the fact that Bitcoin dominance is trying to curl up at this very key reaction level. And if we see a curl up in Bitcoin dominance, we'll probably see something like this, a return towards the red rejection zone. And given the fact that this is already mid-June, we have only a couple weeks left for the altcoin hype cycle of Q2 for 2020 to really start finishing up, for all that hype to just reach its peak level before finally tapering off as we begin Q3. So the clock is definitely ticking. And if you guys have missed my video about whether this mini alt season is over, feel free to check it out in the top right hand corner. And the thing I want to talk about is alt seasons. They are seasonal, as the term suggests, and many people are telling me, no, Rekt Capital, this isn't an altcoin season. Things aren't rallying towards the upside as they did in 2017, the end of 2017. And my response to that is, the summer of 2018 was very hot, and the summer of 2019 was a little less hot. But they were both summers, right? It's not the fact that 2018 summer was much hotter than 2019 summer. They are both summers. The fact that it was very hot in 2018 doesn't mean that the summer of 2019 wasn't a summer at all. So my point is, that analogy is just to serve the fact that this is an altcoin season. It's just that it's less pronounced, definitely so, compared to the altcoin season of 2017, where we were actually in the very end of the Bitcoin market cycle. Because it happens to be the case that euphoria at the end of a Bitcoin cycle is when we see euphoria in altcoins, and this sort of euphoria actually precedes a bear market. So it's actually a very good thing that we don't see that sort of euphoria right now, because that would actually mean that we're not going to see further upside for a very long time. We'd actually see the end of the cycle. So this is an altcoin season, just a little bit less pronounced for sure, but it's been one of the best times for altcoins in the past months for sure, but maybe even the past year as well. We've really had a great time in terms of altcoins. We've seen a drastic decline in the valuations, or at least the market dominance of Bitcoin, which has increased the valuations of altcoins across the board. And it's been a very cool altcoin window to be a part of. Much like this altcoin window was a cool window to be a part of, and this one as well. And of course, once we see Q2 really start to pick up in the hype, you can also see that the Bitcoin dominance is also declining as well, but we are running out of time in terms of how much upside we could still see for altcoins. Of course, it is quite possible that we could see a breakdown to this level, which would mean that we still have a little bit more upside to enjoy for altcoins, but in the meantime, I'm prioritizing my risk management strategy. I am still playing altcoins, but I am being very cognizant of the fact that this could curl up at any moment, really, and increase significantly, and that would just really take away a lot of the gains that altcoins have made most recently. So in any case, we are enjoying an altcoin season. I just call these hype cycles because they are driven by fundamental analysis, as you guys know. So this hype cycle may be coming to a close very soon, so very important to just bear that in mind when allocating your risk accordingly. So I want to talk about Kyber Network first and foremost. It has had a fantastic rally. This is of course the entry that I made in my private journal earlier, or at least later in May, where I spoke about this flagging structure and where we were seeing a bottoming out in the bottom of the structure, and I was going to target this region right over here, knowing that we could still see some wicking past this black dashed level right over here. And of course, going forward today, we now see that we've actually seen a fantastic 60% breakout towards the upside. And even though this was my target area for that sort of intra-pattern trade, I know that some wicking is likely. And now my thoughts are, this is still a young weekly candle, so this could still turn into a FOMO wick, much like we've seen in the past. But I also want to stress that if we just look at the zoomed out perspective, even more so, this flagging structure is a consolidation structure. It is a continuation market structure, and it is currently trying to breach this red long-standing downtrending resistance. So not only is this weekly candle close really important to just cement itself as not a FOMO wick, it's really important to just cement itself outside of this downtrend, because theoretically, if we think about this, this has been the downtrend, and all of this upside that we've seen has also been part of that downtrend. Theoretically, right, on a technical level, we're still in that downtrend. So this upside is still technically part of the downtrend, and what we're having here is that Kyber Network wants to confirm a new uptrend. So this candle, if it closes on a weekly time frame just like this, it would mean that we have a new uptrend for Kyber Network, and that would be fantastic news because we've already seen so much upside from Kyber Network already. So really cool to see that we could be on the verge of something fantastic for Kyber Network. And even though this was my short-term target, I am cognizant of the fact that this short-term target, as long as we don't end up as a wick, this short-term target isn't one to really be followed through on. It's really important to just understand if we're breaching a long-standing resistance, there's no need to try and trade that sort of movement, because this may very well turn into a massive swing trade altogether. Tomo Chain is another one that's quite interesting at the moment, an ascending triangle in the works. This is consolidation at lows essentially. We haven't had a trend really spark for Tomo Chain at the moment, but we are at a very key point in time and on a technical level. As long as Tomo Chain can actually print a daily candle close above this level, then we may very well see a new trend for Tomo Chain. But for the time being, as long as we're just seeing this consolidation, there's nothing really to see here unless we get that confirmation above this level, which would be fantastic because we'd see a new trend evolve for Tomo Chain. So that's an interesting one that I'm watching for as well. Chilils, or however you pronounce this, it's the bane of my existence that I don't know how to pronounce this coin, but it is something that I've been covering for a while, especially in my private journal. This is the macro structure for CHZ BTC. Essentially, what I was watching for was a confirmation into the macro market structure on the weekly time frame, just curling back into the structure, just keeping that green level as a support. It's definitely done so since then, around this point in time, of course, and ever since we've seen a 27% rally towards the upside. In the previous video, I mentioned how I'd like this midpoint of this triangle to just test as a support, and it's fantastic to see that we got that. But at the moment, we're still maintaining the highs, and if you guys zoom in here, we could have the very beginnings of a pennant-like structure forming, a continuation pattern forming. So very interesting to just note that once we breach this blue diagonal resistance, we'll probably see this level finally be reached after many weeks of just remaining patient and just waiting for this macro swing trade to play out. Fantastic to see that we're very near the end there, and I'm very interested to see how we're going to see that pennant really take shape to proceed the next move towards the top of that structure. CHR, Chroma, or Chromia, as many people use interchangeably, an ascending triangle on price which resolved itself with a lovely breakout of 19% towards the upside. And in a tweet, I actually posted how this pullback could have reached this level or this level. So that would be a retest of the ascending triangle top, or a test of this level. And if this reaction would have been weak, then I'd probably be eyeing this level. But what happened later, and this is something that I spoke about in the private journal, is that we did get a nice reaction from this blue level, but we were also forming a flagging structure. So essentially speaking, holding the bottom of this flag would have been great for a rebound, just to test this blue diagonal for a breakout. And we actually got that, a fantastic rebound from the bottom, a breakout from this flag, a successful pullback just to retest this structure, and a rally towards the highs. So a 17% move from the bottom of this flag, a very volatile move for CHR at the moment. What I want to see is how this wick and this wick are going to coincide together. Are we going to see a lower high form? But for the time being, this is just a breakout play for me. I'm just going to watch for the next move. For Cartesi, CTSI, a coin that I've been covering on my Twitter for a while now, we've had a lot of trouble with breaking out, with confirming a breakout, and there's been a lot of hype in this candle because I covered this on my Twitter, rebounding from the flag bottom and breaking out from the structure. But the thing here with CTSI is that we didn't get a confirmation. We got that first step of confirmation of a daily candle close above the blue diagonal, but we didn't get a pullback and a successful retest. We actually broke back into the structure. So what I want to see from Cartesi, this was a fantastic breakout rally, but we haven't seen anything else since. So I'd just like to see confirmation, because once we see a confirmed breakout rally, that's the next move I'm going to be eyeing for a nice swing trade towards the upside. But in any case, guys, those are a few of the altcoins that I'm watching in the short term, but please be careful. Please note that we are in a very interesting time. Bitcoin dominance is threatening to curl up from this point in time, from this technical macro triangle bottom. And it's very important to just understand that once we really get that curl up, I'm definitely going to be de-risking from altcoins. In fact, I am only dealing with a few altcoins at the moment, a handful at maximum. I don't want to be spreading myself too much. I don't want to be putting on too much altcoin exposure, especially when we're at a pivotal time where that exposure doesn't necessarily guarantee a high prospect of reward, because we might actually see a general retrace in altcoins altogether because of how Bitcoin dominance is situated at the moment. So while yes, we still have a bit of the hype cycle left, I am going to be playing select altcoins which have strong TA and good fundamentals coming up, but we are going to possibly move away from a general market increase in altcoins altogether, especially once we see a curl up in Bitcoin dominance very soon. In any case, guys, that's about it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like for this video if you liked the video, and of course subscribe for more videos like this in the future. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.